This is Next Radio.
With Broadcast Bionics. Innovative solutions for creative people.
Hello. Hi, I'm very excited to finally be wearing a TED-style mic. Anyways, let's move on. So I'm here at the moment to talk about specifically Classic FM and how Classic FM learned to become actually pretty good at Facebook. And if you can see in this picture here, that is Bach with a cat beard, in case you were wondering. The story actually starts, though, with this man. This bald man is a very rich bald man. His name is Marc Andreessen, and Marc Andreessen is one of the creators of the first modern web browser. That became something called Netscape back in the day. Marc eventually sold that company at the end of the 90s, and then he went on to form a venture capitalist firm called Andreessen Horowitz. And that company, over the years, has invested in everyone from Google to Facebook to Twitter to now BuzzFeed, actually quite recently. The reason why I show Marc here first is that Marc, a few months ago, wrote an article about the media industry and what he sees as being the opportunity for the media industry in the online space. And in that article, he wrote this: formerly separate industries are colliding on the internet. It's newspapers versus magazines versus TV versus cable versus wire services. Didn't mention radio, but we count also in this space. And he said, now they all compete. Now, I'd hope, in 2014, that every single one of us who works either in online or on radio or any media space understands that, yes, this is true, where once the competition was purely who else was on that radio dial, the competition now when we go online is everybody else across the board. It's all the newspapers, it's all the TV. We are fighting for attention. Someone at the Financial Times, they recently said that their biggest competition on mobile is Candy Crush, okay? And that's true. He's right. But the reason why I then show this is because when you start to look at social media in the online space, it becomes even more complicated. And you end up with an even bigger issue. And that bigger issue is my mom. That is my mom. My dad, my fiance, my brother, some friends of mine, a newspaper I read, a music site I read, a streaming service that I listen to, a site where I look at lots of cat photos, a news site I look at, a text site I read, and a radio station that I listen to. Now, every single one of these things here has one thing in common. Well, actually two. One is that they are all part of my life. But the second part is that I am friends with or like every single one of those brands on Facebook, okay? Which means every single time that I log into Facebook, all of this is vying for my attention, okay? Which means that the challenge that we face as a brand, the challenge that we all face as brands, is how do we cut through? How do we go out and push something out into a news feed when we have to compete against, someone's new baby, their wedding announcement, the fact that they have a dog, the fact that their mom died? That is competitive. That is difficult. That is the noisiest space you can possibly imagine in the world at the moment, obviously. And so a lot of people have rightfully said this. The answer to all of this is content, okay? But the reality is that it can't just be content, all right? You hear that a lot at social media conferences, but the reality is that it has to be something more. And so with Classic FM, about last August, we realized that we had a slight problem on Facebook, and that problem was the bangers problem, okay? We have great presenters on Classic. They are smart, they're intelligent, they are well-read, they know their brands inside and out. But every single time we asked them to go and write a post on Facebook, they would go and post a picture of a sausage and say, hey, everyone, it's National Sausage Month. Who wants a sausage? And in all honesty, if anyone is coming to us from Facebook, if the first thing they see is a sausage photo, it's not really helping Classic FM explain to the world that we are the destination for classical music. We are its home. So we decided we want to fix this. So what we did was this. We brought in Kyle. Kyle is Classic FM's social media editor. So last August, Kyle became the sole person responsible for actually posting anything on the Classic FM page. The presenters were allowed to input, but Kyle managed and curated everything that went out on that page to ensure that it was very much on brand and engaging, all right? So some of the things that we have done is this. Again, it promotes the radio station, but it's led visually as well, obviously. And if you start to look at the numbers, they're reaching over 28,000 people, 146 shares. It's still above the radio, but also if you see it in your news feed, it grabs your attention. We also then started to do stuff like this. This, I'm told, is a classical meme. It's apparently quite funny if you really know your music. And then we also started to look at stuff like this. So We also produce a lot of online content for the Classic FM website, so we started to create things that were very digitally focused, still about classical music, but also, if you read the status update, allowed us to promote the show and the content that was there on air. Now, you can see obviously that started to have a real impact, because that single post is reaching almost 74,000 people, right? That's one post. We post about 10 a day. And then obviously we started to look then at how we can curate more content, things from the wider internet, and we discovered actually the classical music world actually creates a lot of its own memes. So we started to find these, and we started to share this, and we would connect that with the show. We then obviously now actually do things where it's not just about the radio station. We just show great content. If we think we found a thing that's funny but also brand appropriate, we share it. This was shared over, just over 2,400 times and was seen by over 500,000 people. That's one post for Classic FM, okay? This page currently only has about 200,000 Facebook fans, so that organic reach is very high. And then obviously, because we are now doing this every single day, we can, during moments like when Robin Williams, recently passed away, approach that story in a way that was right for Classic FM and in a way that also worked for the wider internet. And this specific post is one of our most successful for all of global this year, seen by over 10 million people, shared over 7,000 times, right? It was one small way for us to engage with our community, but that really resonated. While all of this has been happening, we've also been playing around with making more fun content for the internet specifically, all right? So here's an example of a gallery that we made last November. It's from 21 classical music insults, and all it is famous composers slagging each other off. It's funny and informative. We also made something like this. This is a game that we built last year called Composer or Pasta. All you do, very simply, is the Italian name you see at the top a composer or pasta? You click through, you get an answer. This was shared over 77,000 times on Facebook. It drove over 5 million visitors back to the Classic FM website, okay? Now, if you're wondering, fine, that's great digital content, really nice, but so what? How does this have an impact on radio itself? This is the answer. This is a visitor flow for the Classic FM website last December for that entire month, all right? What you see there, the Facebook bar, showing how many people came to the site directly from Facebook, okay? Most of them went to pasta or composer. Great. Now, if you see where they went to next, you see things like they went to visit composer pages, they went to go see stuff about Beethoven, and then if you look here, they also went to listen to the radio. So actually, though this wasn't necessarily a piece of content that was designed to promote the specific show, it promoted the brand. It worked in a social media space, and it actually had a direct impact on the ROI. So the result of all of this effort since last August is simply this. We've seen a 300% increase in Facebook traffic. We've seen a 300% increase in Facebook fans. It took us 5 years to get 100,000 fans. We broke that last May. In August of this year, we broke 200,000 fans. So we're speeding up in terms of growth. The average daily reach for the page is now at about 250,000. Again, this is a page that right now has about 221,000 fans. Facebook currently tells most page admins that they can expect a 2% reach. We're doing much better than that. And you can see it right here. So finally, I do want to show this. Now, if you ever want to figure out how, if a page is really engaging an audience, you should look at a thing called the people talking about this metric, right? So just above the total page likes, you can see exactly how many people in the past 7 days are actually engaging with that page, okay? That's actually the best indicator of how well your Facebook page is doing, right? So that's Capital FM, that's Radio 1. If you look at Classic FM, they've got a much better number, actually. It's actually at about 80,000 today. And what actually has happened, because we apply this strategy, being very focused on the content, Classic FM, a brand with only about 220,000 Facebook fans, is now officially the most engaged Facebook page in all of UK radio. It is outperforming Radio 1. It is outperforming our own brand, Capital FM, as well. That's a success story that I'm very happy about, I won't lie. So, just about out of time. So in summary, just a few things to be aware of, to actually do this yourself. Treat social as a distinct editorial channel. What we do globally is we have the radio station as a channel, we have the online as a channel, and social media for us is treated as a space where we curate and where we program an experience to entertain people in their newsfeed. Never assume someone is listening on social, okay? I see this happen a lot within radio. People assume that when they write that post that someone has heard what has been happening on air. It doesn't really work that way. Most people nowadays are more likely to see your updates hours after the broadcast time. So the key thing to really make it effective is to make sure that every piece is a standalone piece of content. Someone has to see that post and be entertained, be it by just the photo, be it by the update. Whatever you do, it has to tell a complete story. Finally, it's a 24/7, 365 days of the year task, right? The only way this works is by being on there consistently, putting out stuff 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 times a day, doing it every single day. I know that TV gets a lot of talk about being, the social platform, but the reality is that as radio people, what's the one thing that we're all very used to doing? It's creating content 365 days of the year, which means lots of you in here right now, if you aren't doing this, actually have the skill set to work really well on social. It's just thinking about how to focus that. As simple as that. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Charles, thank you very much. Thank you.
This is Next Radio.
With Broadcast Bionics, innovative solutions for creative people.